Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Truth Wizard or welcome back to Truth Wizard. Either way, good to have you. Good to be here. Good to be seen. And today we're going to have a lot to unpack in this one. We're going to talk about the files, the Epstein files, and why I think we can't see the forest for the trees on this one. I think we are missing something. Something just isn't sitting right with me. So, with that being said, today's topic, we're going to talk about cloning. So, buckle up and let's get into it.
Now, Clonaid, a company backed by a group called the Raelian Religious Movement, claims to have produced a human clone. Clonaid's CEO, Bridget Bosselier, made this announcement. Please listen.
Very, very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born. The parents are American citizens. The mother is 31. She is the one who has been cloned, and she carried her baby.
So far, there's been no evidence to prove that. But could that all change today?
Originally, you were born in Jersey?
Yeah. Originally, my first gen. I'm a second gen now. That's why you see the celebrity births say I'm born in Toronto, but that's false. My first gen was born in Jersey. However, I was cloned by Clonaid in Canada. My model number is 0112568 if anyone wants to see the registration in Clonaid.
Very pleased to announce that the first baby clone is born.
Can that be true? Or is it some kind of twisted tale made up by a group of people calling themselves the Raelians? Late last year, Raelian Bishop Dr. Bridget Bosselier announced that a biotechnology company named Clonaid had done it. The Raelians believe that humans evolved from aliens through cloning. Cloning leads to eternal life. Their spiritual leader, 56-year-old former race car driver and journalist Rael, founded the organization after he allegedly was abducted by aliens in 1973. But many are suspect of their claims and are opposed to their practices.
I don't know why.
Now, Thomas Koenig and Mary Ellen Parent are both members of the Raelian movement, and Thomas is vice president of Clonaid. The debate and the questions from journalists worldwide, not just here in America, is where is the proof? Where is the baby?
We would like to provide the proof as quick and as soon as possible. Probably heard about what happened since we made the announcement. There has been this attorney in Florida asking for a guardian for the child. We've had the FDA, the SEC, different government agencies launching investigation. And that scared the parents a lot. You have to put yourself in the mind of a family who's been waiting for years, for many, many years, to have a baby. They're very happy the baby's here. But they're very concerned about what's happening right now, and they don't want to take any risk for the baby to be taken away. So we proceed as soon as possible, as soon as the family will feel safe.
We have a little bit of tape from Rael. Let's listen to this.
Right now, cloning is just the possibility to have a twin brother.
Okay. So here's the thing about that video. We're kind of a little introduction into the fact that a company from Canada allegedly cloned a human being in 2002. It's a long time ago. It is 2026, obviously. So imagine if they successfully cloned a human in 2002. And then in 1996, we had the sheep, Dolly the sheep. Do we honestly think they just stopped there? I'm going to guess probably not. I could be wrong because I also don't have any proof. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. We're just talking. But it's highly unlikely that they just quit working on cloning animals and people. And so now you have the allegations of the eugenics lab from Zorro Ranch. And I know our mind immediately goes to eugenics as in, the going into the mid 1900s in Europe, what was going on, and people automatically default to that being eugenics. But really, if you're looking at encouraging prime candidates to reproduce, or maybe even if they took it a step further and just said, if folks don't want to reproduce on their own, what if we just tailor made people, clones, gave them all the traits that we wanted, left out all the undesirable traits we don't want? Maybe even if it was, I don't know, let's say to maybe have it to where people that are born, the clones, just don't ask questions like this. Like maybe they just go along with whatever's told to them because maybe they've got traits where they're not too bright, in the head, and they just like Zoolander. Remember Zoolander? Anybody? Why male models? Could you do what you're told, Derek? No, we don't. Yes, you do. Okay. that kind of shit. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Let's continue.
Story time. In 1991, I went to a UFO seminar at the University of Texas in Arlington. And it was a group called the Raelians. And it turns out they ended up becoming sort of a cult. They started Clonaid in Canada. And they were the first ones to clone a human female child who they named Eve and kept secret of her location for the past 11, 12 years. And now they're on trial. Let's check this out.
I have a friend of mine named Sophia Bridget who's currently being faced for trial, criminalizing the act of godonizing, I think it is, which is like breaking the law of cloning someone.
Wait a minute.
Wait,
Please
so
dive
so
into
Say
that.
that term? I need to look that up. I have never heard the term godonizing. I'm not saying that's not a real thing because I never heard of it. I just never heard of it. So that's a nifty word.
That privately cloned another person?
Allegedly, I can't say that she.
Well, allegedly.
I can't say she did or did not because the case is still open. She's 63 years old. I've been knowing her for about 8 years now. She's a part of a movement called the Rayleigh Movement, and they're the founders of Clonaid, which is what she works for. Allegedly, they say that she cloned a girl named Eve about 11 years ago, and that's what they're trying to trial her for.
So is it like a machine, or like how does that? I mean, I know it's not you, but I'm just saying you know more about it than I do.
Well, it's recreating the synthesis of DNA, so it's the exact same genetic structure as anything else would be. It's hard for people to wrap their mind around it because of consciousness and the soul, right?
Right.
So some people who don't want to see past that then are like, well, what is it? Or,
Yeah.
So nowadays, you may not even know you know a clone. We're there, folks.
We're going to continue our discussion of the concept of human cloning today. Joining us in our studio and testifying on the Hill today is Bridget Boisselier, who is scientific director for a private company called Clonaid. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Sure. Tell us first what Clonaid is and what the company is working on right now.
Okay. So Clonaid is a private company. We founded that 4 years ago, got the fundings to really have that last August. And so now we have 3 scientists working almost full-time in a lab here in the United States with the major goal for us to produce a human embryo by human cloning.
Why do you want to do it?
There are several reasons. The first one is that why am I doing it myself? It's just because I think I had to do it. 4 years ago when I heard all the establishment saying this is so bad and all these things, I said I have to do it and show that this is only a baby. A little baby, the belated twin of an individual.
So she heard the establishment say it was so bad, and so she just said, I have to do it to show it's only a little baby. I want to call bullshit on that, but let's continue.
That's it. It's not a monster. It's not all, what we have been hearing so many bad things about this baby. And so we decided to do that 4 years ago. Now we are on the verge to have this first embryo.
And when do you suspect it will happen?
I don't want to be rushed into saying dates. What I'm saying is that we are in the process of doing it. We will check every possible defects before, so we'll need to make sure that the embryo is completely viable and before doing any implantation. So the soonest we could have an implantation is mid-April. It could be in a year from now because we want to make sure that this baby is completely and perfectly healthy.
I know y'all had to have seen this. So if they're cloning celebrities, if allegedly, we don't know. We are just having a good time. We're having a friendly discussion amongst friends. We don't know what we're talking about. But if they're doing that, I wonder if even if it's just like their reasoning, if they're doing it for marketing purposes, that maybe they found that a certain look, the facial structure, a tone of voice is it's more marketable, it's more soothing to people, it's more accepting of people. So they've honed in the features of what these folks should look like. And so this goes back to the eugenics topic of that's where that would come in to make sense, where they want to have these selections of certain features. And they're doing it maybe not for like a perfect race or humankind situation. They're doing it because they are quite literally creating humans that are marketable. So now you're inclined to subscribe and buy into pop culture, into the pop music, all of it, like your hook, line, and sinker, reality TV. With that, of course, network cable, all the ads that come with that, the people buying into the beliefs and the lifestyles, trying to imitate those lifestyles that they see on the programming. And that programming is acted out by these clones. Speaking of subscribed, if you haven't subscribed, if you got this far, hopefully you did, subscribe. Maybe you like this. Thank you. Now, I can't prove any of this. It's just theories. But let's carry on.
Humans made to order, mothers giving birth to themselves, babies conceived just so their body parts can be transplanted. Come with me into the scary new world of cloning. The nightmarish stuff of science fiction has suddenly become a reality. The genie is out of the bottle, said scientists in Scotland earlier this year when they successfully cloned a sheep. And they weren't kidding. Using those same techniques, it's now possible to clone humans. What's more, there are doctors ready and able to do it. In the world we've all known,
The audio's a little wonky for a minute, sorry.
Boy meets girl, they fall in love, and through that relationship they conceive a baby. But now there's a potential new way to create life, and it has many of us terrified. It's called human cloning.
It will happen. And it will not be done for the best reasons. It will be done for all kinds of bizarre reasons, but be in no doubt that it will be done.
I see it as just one more tool in the whole array of tools that we now have to help people have children. And I think that's a very, very important reason that cloning should be allowed.
The battle has been joined, even as the first cloned baby remains a glimmer in the eye of scientists. After all, what we're talking about doing is making exact replicas of ourselves. Strictly speaking, it would be legal to clone me, for example, tomorrow. And this is the place it's most likely to happen, a leading IVF clinic outside of New York. Behind those walls, there are people with the technology, the ability, and the desire to genetically engineer human embryos, to be the first in the world to successfully clone a human being.
There's no doubt that human beings will be cloned.
Dr. Jacques Cohen, a leader in his field, simply needs the approval of his clinic's ethics committee to make history. So if I had the money, you had the permission, you could clone me tomorrow.
Well, I wouldn't say tomorrow. It'll take a year or two. We could clone you probably within 2 years.
What you're seeing here is an actual cloning taking place at the research facility in Scotland that pioneered the technique.
Like, what if for real, like for real, you got neighbors, or just even one neighbor, that's a clone, and you had no idea? Or, again, maybe I'm a little bit blowing this out of proportion. Maybe they really haven't cloned many people or anybody. It just seems unlikely, but that's crazy. That's so crazy. And I guess for me, the alarm bells go off because you don't really see anything about cloning in the news. We see a lot of politics. We see, especially as of lately, the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 years, a lot of politics and a lot of division amongst your fellow neighbors and citizens, unrest, protests, riots. We've seen a lot of Russia, China. Maybe World War III is going to happen. Hell, right before Trump took office, we had World War III talk trending on Google, all over Facebook. Everyone was convinced Trump was going to take office and World War III was going to start. And guess what? We had the same shit just recently. Just propaganda, man. News cycles. Again, emotional shit. Shit that's designed to keep you scared, distracted, everything. So the fact that they always talk about, again, like war, again, just racial tensions, division, politics, all kind of turmoil internationally. There's everything in under the sun, but you don't see a lot of talk about cloning. We're going to Mars, right? NASA is coming out with new shit every couple of months, every 3 to 4 or 5 months, maybe. I don't really keep up that much, but again, whatever, fuck the timeline. The point is, they're constantly telling you about the hopes and dreams and the logistics of what it would take to build a base on Mars. And there's always someone who thinks we're going to go do that. There's no follow-up with that, which leads me to believe they're completely full of shit. And that's a whole different conversation, which we are going to have. But the same thing with the moon landings. I mean, just all of it, man. Like, we hear more about that than we do cloning. And so I guess my point is, it just, for me, that's like a red flag that they're doing some shit. They're just not talking about it. So it's kind of a out of sight, out of mind. Most folks don't think it's happened. They don't think it will happen, not on a mass level. But I kind of feel like their silence is the tell that they've been doing this. Just my opinion.
In theory, it's blindingly simple. Here, it's an animal. But just as easily, you can take a cell from a human. A scraping of skin will do. Then, get an egg from a female, remove the nucleus and fuse the two with a spark of electricity. And ta-da, you have an embryo. Implant the embryo in a woman, and 9 months later, you have a carbon copy of the person from whom the skin scraping was taken. What is wrong with me cloning me for a child?
I'd feel sorry for your child. Your child is going to grow up with a tremendous emotional
He
baggage.
sounds creepy as shit.
Having to cope with you trying to live your life out again through her. I would feel...
Dude, that's a real life horror villain. 100%.
sorry for a child like that. What happens to identity? What happens to personality? What happens to teenage rebellion when you're rebelling against yourself? When a parent says, you know, I can see you take after me. This is absolutely taking after.
Looking at all aspects of gene technology.
I don't like
how
him.
We can take a gene from your body and put it into one of those goldfish.
And make a very exciting goldfish.
Well,
Dr. Patrick Dixon, a bioethicist based in London, says human cloning is imminent, probably unstoppable, and most certainly wrong.
It'll be done for spares. It'll be done on some ego trip. It'll be done for emotional reasons. It'll be done to offset some pathological grief mechanism that thinks that somehow we will be able to recover the identity just because we recover the genetic profile of someone.
I can think of a number of cases where cloning would not just be acceptable, but the appropriate thing to do.
In the race to be the first to clone a human, one of those barracking the loudest is Dr. Lee Silver, professor of molecular biology at Princeton University in America.
I think that the important thing to realize is that there's nothing synthetic about cloning. We're taking, the people who will clone will be taking living cells and converting them into embryos that will become people someday.
It doesn't matter how they came about?
No, I don't think so. As long as the process that brought them about didn't cause any harm to them.
The possibility
It's so
of
crazy, the
cloning has been
contrast
around for
in
decades.
views. It's just wild.
Then, in February of this year, came the living proof it could be done. A lamb called Dolly was cloned in Scotland from the breast tissue of an adult sheep. Well, this is Dolly. A sheep, but one sheep which has managed to change our understanding of how life begins forever. Little Dolly and many other species of animals cloned since, including monkeys, are powerful evidence that we humans can replicate ourselves. It's a bit like taking a cutting from a plant in the garden.
And we can show you a photograph album of exactly what your child will look like on the 2nd birthday, 4th, 8th, 10th, 32nd birthday, come to that. We can show you they'll have a receding hairline at the age of 34. They'll be completely bald at 45, but a musical genius into the bargain. That's great. And there are people who would be prepared to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for that kind of pedigree result, guarantee, especially if they can't have children of their own.
I've been approached 3 times.
But no chance. No chance. 0 chance. Any of the elite would be interesting in charging and making that money. You see why this has probably been done? And I just don't think that it's not been done because of the greed factor, mostly the egos, man. It's probably been done. And I'm sure most of you are probably saying, yeah, no shit, man. We understand that. What's it got to do with Epstein? We're getting there.
Months by couples who cannot produce in any other way.
And that was a serious approach.
Those were serious approaches, yes. There was one person who was very able in formulating that his wife, who's now about 48, and he therefore thought that it would be a good scenario to have her reproduce by cloning technology.
And would it be?
Well, I presume it is an application, yes, because you keep the gene pool in the family. You don't use any outside sperm or outside eggs for that couple to reproduce. So she would carry the parenticine. She would carry her own identical twin.
So there's seemingly already a demand.
There's demand, yes, definitely.
I think people should have the right to use their own genetic material in any way that they see fit to have.
First up, the Bitcoin.
Okay, here's the thing. If you're a true conspiracy theorist, raise your hand. Okay, if you did too, then stay with me. If we are to believe, and we do believe, and we do think it's entirely possible that they have underground military installations, underground tunnels for transportation from major city to major city across the country. In that realm of things, it's not so much proven. I think there is, I forget the name of the base now. I've gone brain dead, of course, trying to make this point to you. But, shit, that was the one in New Mexico, I believe, ironically enough. Dulce? Was that it? The base in Dulce, or the base is called Dulce? Pretty sure I'm close to that. So you're probably saying, yes, stupid, that's the one. Perfect. So what if Zorro Ranch, the mountain it's sitting on, or large hill, whatever, what if in that was built a facility to produce clones? Now, hear me out. This might not make it any better. I'm just going to throw this out there. What's more logical and realistic? Do we think that maybe this guy who we were told was into eugenics, and I would imagine it didn't just stop there. I mean, again, I'm assuming cloning is going to be a large chunk of that. Well, it is, obviously. It's not just the reproduction, organic, reproduction. So it just kind of seems like maybe he was growing people in the lab, or babies. And if you are a conspiracy theorist to the point of, you think that these elites are killing babies and drinking their blood and adrenochrome stuff, right, to stay youthful and replenish themselves, what if he's just growing the babies in a lab? Again, I'm not saying it's any better, but I mean, in a way, it's a little better, I would imagine, to some degree. I think that's at least a little better than them snatching up children from supermarkets, trafficking them, and doing horrific things to them, and then consuming stuff from said child for them to stay youthful or for whatever purpose they had going on. And again, I just don't see any proof of all these rituals. All the satanic rituals these folks are supposedly doing, I just don't see the proof. In fact, there is no proof. And it's funny, because every time there's an allegation of something, there's always someone who's got video evidence of this, but yet they never release it. And I just think that is just so typical and unfair. And I might get roasted for this, but listen to what I'm saying very carefully. I do not recall her name. I need to find this news clip of one of the survivors of Epstein. She was blonde, and this was in the last 2-3 weeks. I saw her on the news, and she was talking about how she has video evidence of Trump doing things with a younger person. Those are her words. Well, if you have that, why don't you release it? Because to me, it kind of makes you look like a horrible human being when you have alleged video evidence of this man doing those acts. And instead of releasing that and finally putting all this to bed, and in releasing that and also bringing some justice to the victim and letting that woman have some kind of starting process of, I'm not even sure you could say closure, but she can have some kind of a starting process to at least feel like she's receiving justice. She can feel better knowing that her said attacker or assault person that is the person who assaulted her would be behind bars, face some kind of consequences for their actions. But instead of doing that, you're crying victim, you're crying survivor. But instead of helping your other fellow survivor, you're going to hang on to that information. I just don't see how that's right. And again, it's just so fucking typical. All of this great evidence all of a sudden now is nowhere to be found. And we live just again in a society, and I kind of get why though. Evidence is kind of important. If I asked you for $10,000 and I said, hey, you give me $10,000 today and I'll give you $30,000 in 2.5 years. You're going to ask, how can you do that for me? How can you do this? Oh, don't worry about it. Have you done it before? Absolutely, I've done it before. I've done it for many other people and myself. Well, how? Well, I can't show you that. Well, come on, you got to show me something. Like at least show me, receipts, records of your other friends, family, clients. Who have you done this for? I can't do any of that for you. Trust me, bro. I can double or triple your money. Just trust me. Just give me your money and trust me. Are you going to do that without the proof? I would hope not. People fall for scams all the time. It does happen. But there's also, that's not the mass majority is the thing. So again, the lack of proof with all this is what bothers me. And now we're going to say the emails, you idiot, there's emails. Sure. We've also seen interviews, and in some of these emails, Epstein was known to be a blackmailer. It's what he did. So how do we know that the FBI, which we can all agree is proven to be very corrupt, they are the ones who have released this information? How do we know some of these emails weren't fabricated? I just feel like everything that they are showing you is calculated. They are showing this to you for a reason. I'm not willing to sit here and agree and see FBI corruption and agree the FBI is corrupt. And we see so much of that through other tragedies or investigations. It starts trickling out. But now, because all of a sudden we're starting to see things that we want to see, that we're being proven right by things we've made up in our heads, or now we kind of feel validated by that. Our conspiracies are seemingly coming true, but through what? There's no actual, again, photo evidence. There's still no videos. Conveniently, it's all been redacted. If I'm wrong, I will happy to be called out. You can say, ha, 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 you were wrong. And that's fine. It's fine. It's okay to be wrong. Again, internet culture has ruined like critical thinking and having these discussions. People think because you're wrong about something that makes you a fucking failure, and it does not. It just means you were wrong and you learned something, hopefully, and you can move on. And you should improve, or you can improve your thought process and how you go about doing some homework, connecting dots better, doing some more investigating. That's all it is. Not a big deal. But for now, we all have to agree there's not a lot of evidence other than shit they want to show you. And again, they're showing this to you because they want to, and there's a reason. And that's why I said in the beginning of this, we can't see the forest from the trees. Now, let's have a look at this email very quickly. And that's going to I want to point out a couple of things that I think support me saying that this is not good faith smoking gun evidence.
Wallet. This document is an email. It reads, Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email.
I know he's going to read it, and I'm going to stop him right here. At first glance, this looks great. Excuse me. This looks fantastic. Here it is. We got him, boys. My question is this. You have a former staffer that worked at this ranch of horrors. where people were being brought there and some of them never left. Bad, unspeakable things happened to them at this ranch, right? So the problem that I have are the loose ends. If these people, this elite ring of people who, when you combine them all together, virtually have unlimited money, if they were able to hide what they were doing, hid this all in plain sight, and then just flat out hid it. So you got to give them credit where credit's due. They were kind of smart about it. But now they're suddenly not so smart, and they're really pretty stupid to leave all of these loose ends. Staffers that worked there and saw all this shit, had video evidence, roaming free. It just seems a little unlikely that they're going to let these people walk, man. And so now you've got politicians, you've got billionaires, you've got wealthy, businessmen, multimillionaires, actors, actresses, possibly more musicians. All these people are going to get taken down because some idiot let a staffer who was a witness to all this just go home. Honey, you're not going to believe what I saw today. Bro, come on, man. I'm sorry. Not only that, let's get back to this email. Let's woosah. Let's bring the emotions down. Let's be objective about this email, okay? Material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein home as my insurance in case of future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions. Well, boy, that's just awfully convenient, isn't it? It just is. So, again, a random staffer who worked at this ranch, my understanding is just, a random ass worker took all this stuff out of the home before any of the elite billionaires, millionaires, the schemers, the government officials, the corrupt agencies who knew about the shit going on, was a party to it for decades, multiple decades. They knew he had the ranch, but they let an ordinary staffer get a hold of all this first. And he's still alive to expose it all? Guys, come on, man. Come on. So, but no questions either, by the way. Stop asking questions. You there? No. Okay. No questions. No questions. Please. No questions. Please stop. Nope. Can't. Again, how fucking convenient. Moving on. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G? So first of all, here's the thing. If I remember right, Zorro Ranch is 10,000 acres. 10,000 acres. Do you think they would have buried these two just right near the house? Again, if the answer is yes, then this guy was clearly a dumbass. However, if you've watched some of the recent interviews that have been coming out, and you consider the fact they've been hiding this ring for decades in plain sight, mum's the word from everybody, but suddenly he's going to slip and bury 2 girls right next to the fucking driveway. Bro, come on. 10,000 acres. Where do you even begin? Well, LiDAR is a great spot, or I'm sorry, a great start. And I would imagine that would be what they would use. But, I mean, considering all parties involved, we're not going to get our hopes up. But my thing is this, the language of this paragraph. So 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G, both by during rough fetish stuff. Isn't that oddly specific? It just, I don't know, like it just doesn't sit well with me. And the two foreign girls, who cares if they were foreign? What does foreign have to do with the girls aren't here anymore? They got, and then they were buried somewhere on 10,000 acres. Like, I don't care they were foreign. So are we supposed to discount the situation because they're foreign? Does them being foreign increase the severity of the situation? You see what I'm saying? Like, again, it's hard for me because I just don't feel like somebody would have been that specific. Like, two foreign girls. Like, who gives a fuck they're foreign? That just changes nothing for the overall situation that you are trying to present. Moving on down, I'm not going to read all the stuff, and hopefully this does not get this video flagged or taken down or anything, since it's not marked off, but you can clearly see the videos that this person allegedly has. But now, below all that, this person, here we go again, has damning evidence, could at least put a lot of the conspiracies to rest as to what actually was going on. Here is allegedly smoking gun evidence this person has, but now they want something for it. So now we're not going to be just a, good stand-up citizen. We're going to be a former staffer of this ranch, witnessed all these things, and now let's be a complete dirtbag and basically request a payment for this, a Bitcoin for this. The USB will be sent anonymously to your attention by overnight courier upon receipt of the funds. You have my assurance. This is exclusive, never shared before. No attorneys, no samples, no questions, please. Confirm ASAP. That does not sound like a person that has legitimate, real evidence. And now this has been released, and all of a sudden people are treating this like this is hardcore proof that everything is right. This just brings it all together. I know I cannot be the only person that feels this way. We got to be a little more rational, a little more logical, bring the emotions in a little bit. No, I'm not saying he's innocent. Any of them are innocent. Words never came out of my mouth, never will. But what I'm saying is, you have to agree, this is just so convenient, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And the same for the other survivors. Well, what are you saying? They're on the payroll. These people knew he was a blackmailer. They knew that he could and probably would, or they found out he did frame them. And even if Jeffrey made up certain shit, they'd have a hell of a time disproving it, or they knew it was not going to be a good look. So they tried to combat now using his same tactics, making him look like he was XYZ things. Does that make sense? It's kind of like betrayal and betrayal now intertwined. And so the people want to be vindicated with our conspiracy theories so bad that even with very little to no proof, we're just going to cling to it for dear life. What happened to just 6, 7, 8 years ago, and especially beyond that, if you talked about UFOs and you had no proof? People thought you were absolutely out of your mind. Man, ain't no proof of that, man. I mean, but yeah, no, it kind of is. Like, people have filmed stuff like it's kind of hard to capture because of phones, especially back in the day. The cameras weren't that great, especially in the 90s. A damn VHS camera. No one believed shit, even with some kind of proof. But now we're going to just blindly follow and blindly believe certain narratives, certain opinions, ideas, and not just related to Epstein shit. This goes very broadly, by the way, but right now, particular to this, that's what I'm talking about. It's an idea. It's a theory. It's not perfect, but I do think that there is a much larger picture at stake here, or I'm sorry, at play here, and I don't think it's being I just don't think it's being looked at from a rational standpoint. And I really do think the cloning is something to that. I know it seems crazy, man, but once they started talking about the eugenics stuff, and of course a handful of people, and by a handful I mean a ton from what I've seen online, ran with it and started making accusations of some shit that happened in Europe and how we're trying to recreate that. I mean, it's crazy, but is it really crazy? Something to that, man. Something to the celebrities, all the youthful looks. Again, we're tying in conspiracy theories is the whole point of this. I don't think it's out of the realm that some of these people were getting product, substance from this man because of stuff he was doing or had a hand in, or he funded a lab, started a lab. I don't know. I don't know. Allegedly, this is just a friendly conversation. I'm just an idiot who just started a YouTube channel. I have no videos up, and I have 2 whole subscribers. So what I say, I mean, look at me. Psst. Do I know what's going on? Hell no. But we could be onto something here. I'm just saying, man, it's not completely impossible. With that being said, I'm going to cut it off here. I'm going to catch up. I got some catching up to do. I got to hop back online. I got to dive back into the files. I got to look at some more shit. I got to educate myself some more. And again, I'm entitled to change my mind, as everybody is. And I think you should. As I see more things, or I see more evidence I do think is stronger, I might backpedal on that and retract that. And that's okay. I think I'm totally allowed to. That's what I should be doing. But consider that what I said. Just consider it, and consider even some of the wording. And again, look at the details. And I know a lot of people are and have been, but some of this, man, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. Like I said, the handful of survivors that, were allowed to live, ruthless, evil, demonic, satanic worshiper, or a Satan worshiper, satanic cults, and sacrificing this and burning that, all this madness, but yet we let these people live. Yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, why would you do that? And if they're that evil, that satanic, that demonic, 10,000 acres to dispose of all these people, and you let, however many of them live to potentially dismantle everything that you've built, this underground empire of crime. Again, maybe they were dumber than we thought, dumber than I thought. It just seems weird, man. It just seems weird. I don't know. It's just strange. Very, very strange. I'm gonna clock it there. That's gonna be it. If you made it this far, you're fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this content. This is kind of what we're going to be all about here. So please give me a comment, give it a like, give it a subscribe, come back. I will see you in the next one. Everyone have a good day, have a good night, whatever it is. I'll see you next time.